Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. Naomi Kwai for the applicants.
Thank you. Mr. Mangelsdorf, I'm going to swear you in. Do you please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony which you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please be seated. Your witness, Ms. Kawai.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Mangelsdorf, I'm going to refer to your direct testimony if you have that in front of you today.
Yes, I do.
Okay. And it's identified as HIEC Exhibit 1, correct?
Yes.
Okay. On page 7, lines 9 to 11, you stated that the Commission should consider an alternative form of electrical utility ownership of Hawaii Island, and now is the appropriate time. Do you see that in your?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. Mr. Mangelsdorf, you also stated repeatedly in your testimonies, both direct and rebuttal, that no offer has been made by HIEC or any other cooperative to acquire HELCO.
That is correct.
Okay. So it is correct to say that you have not approached HECO or talked to them directly, except through these proceedings about HIEC's interest in acquiring HELCO.
There's been no approach by me or anybody involved with HIEC in terms of making an offer to anyone at Hawaiian Electric, correct?
And there's been no discussions regarding price or other relevant terms regarding acquisition of HELCO by HIEC, is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. In your written direct testimony, you testified that the, quote, merits of the proposed merger should be examined and evaluated in relation to potential alternatives. And that's in your HIEC Exhibit 1, page 9, lines 4 to 8.
I'm sorry, Exhibit 1?
Exhibit 1, page 9, lines 4 to 8. You see that?
Yes, I do.
Have you investigated the cost for acquisition of HELCO?
To some extent, we've done kind of a back-of-the-envelope estimation of possible value of Hawaii Electric Light Company. I know consumer advocate Jeff Ono, he and I sat on a panel last year together, and he opined that, in his view, Hawaii Electric Light Company had a net asset value of, I believe, somewhere in the $720 million range.
Okay, but nothing from as far as details and in-depth analysis of HELCO's holdings.
Correct.
To date. Okay. Have you investigated HELCO's employee cost?
I'm not privy to the type of data that would be needed or would be needed to do that kind of in-depth analysis, so that the answer would be no.
Okay. Have you investigated HELCO's operation and maintenance cost?
Pretty much the same answer.
Okay. So based on what limited information do you know how much capital HIEC would need to cover any of these costs?
Given the fact that there is no willing seller, which is we acknowledge fully, and that no negotiation, no offers have been made in any way, shape, or form, any type of value on Hawaii Electric Light Company would be subject to discussion, negotiation between a willing seller and a willing buyer. So as far as coming up with what the fair market value of Hawaii Electric Light Company is, that is not something that we've attempted to do because of the situation, the conditions I've just explained.
And would it be safe to say it would be difficult to acquire a loan unless these costs are hardened a little bit?
Well, typically lenders need to have something more concrete if they're going to extend credit to you.
Right.
Yes.
And so it's difficult for you or for you to advise this commission what the expected impact would be to ratepayers should a cooperative take over.
No, I think I just disagree with the premise of that question. We've done some preliminary analysis, which we put in the press, which was publicized, I should say, back in December, where given a hypothetical rate base of $465 million over 4 years, comparing what the cost would be under an investor-owned utility company, which of course is the situation now, versus the cooperative, that given the lower cost of capital available to a cooperative compared to an IOU, we were estimating savings to the ratepayers of somewhere in the $110 million range over a 4-year period, comparing that, interestingly, to what NextEra Energy has proposed as their potential rate savings across the Hawaiian Electric territories.
But that assumes that one of your financial mechanisms to finance such operations would be willing to extend a loan in the unknown amount that you're proposing.
Certainly.
Thank
Yes.
you. And if a lender came in and offered a IOU, similar type of terms that is available to a cooperative, couldn't it be as cheap as what you're saying a cooperative could operate?
I'm sorry, could you repeat your question?
Sure.
Are you asking whether essentially an IOU could enjoy the same type of terms in terms of...
Sure. If they have adequate access to capital at low rates, isn't it possible that a IOU could offer similar benefits to a ratepayer?
Not being a financial analyst or a regulatory attorney or a financial or a banker, I can't give you a definitive answer to that. But I think as far as it being possible, I think I'll concede that.
Okay,
sure.
Thank you. You also state in your direct testimony that you had some discussions with KIUC, and it's your understanding from KIUC that electric cooperatives are concerned about the size of the members' electric bill. And I believe that's referenced in page 16 of your direct testimony, lines 1 to 2. You see that?
I'm sorry, what line, please?
Lines 1 to 2.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, and you're making a comparison to your understanding of IOUs, is that correct?
Yes.
You also make a statement in your direct testimony, and this is page 18, line 27, that since 2002, KIUC has had only one rate case with an overall rate increase of 1.98%. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to ask that a document be handed out. It was also circulated yesterday. It's a decision order from docket 2009-0050. And I'll wait until you get that and your counsel gets that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Mangelsdorf, what you have before you is a decision order from docket 2009-0050. Do you see that?
I do.
Okay. On the flag page, doesn't it say it's KIUC's rate approval case that is referenced in your direct testimony?
Yes.
Okay. If I can ask you to refer to page 1 of that decision? Are you aware, or isn't it correct to say, that KIUC actually requested a 10.45% increase, which was denied by the commission?
I see that here.
Okay. And can you now turn to page 61 of that decision order? In that docket that went from 10.45% requested increase to an approved 1.98% increase, isn't it correct to say that the commission denied recovery from KIUC's customers through electric rates incentive compensation, and salary increases for managerial and other non-bargaining unit employees, finding that such expenses were unreasonable for rate-making purposes in the current down economy.
I'm sorry, Ms. Kawai, what page are you on? I'm on 61, I don't see
Page
that.
61.
What number or paragraph?
Sure, hold on, just a moment. It's 7A.
Okay.
Okay. And you want me to read it back to you, or?
You're
would
saying paragraph A?
Yes, I just essentially read paragraph 7A that states that the commission denied recovery of.
Of the requested rate increase that you noted on page 1.
Right, as tied to being unreasonable because it was for salary increases for managerial.
Understood.
Okay. And if you go to 7B, isn't it also true that the commission required KIUC to disclose to its members that KIUC's board decision to pay for incentive employee compensation and salary increases for managerial and non-bargaining unit employees, even though such expenses were disallowed by the commission?
I see that.
Okay. And the commission wanted KIUC to calculate and explain to its members as to how its members would be financially impacted by the board's decision to pay for such expenses that were disallowed by this commission for purposes of rate making.
Yes.
Okay. So it's not necessarily true that KIUC is only concerned about the size of its members' bills. There's other factors as well, correct?
Speaks for itself. Overruled.
You're asking me whether the cost to the members of the Hawaii Island Utility Co-op is essentially the only important thing to KIUC?
No, my question was that you made a representation in your direct testimony that electric cooperatives are only concerned about the size of the members' electric bill, yet as you see in this decision order, the KIUC inserted incentive pay raises and other compensation matters that were not approved by this commission into the rate base.
Yes.
Okay, so that's kind of in conflict. Wouldn't you agree?
I don't know if I'd agree with the characterization of it being in conflict. I mean, there are clearly other priorities that whether it's an IOU or co-op or muni have in terms of running an efficient, cost-effective, and affordable utility for its members or for its ratepayers.
Okay, but putting in incentive raises and not notifying your ratepayers in a down economy, wasn't that a concern to the commission?
It would seem
okay.
So, yes.
Thank you very much. In your direct testimony, and I'm referring you to page 4, lines 7 to 11.
Sorry, page 4?
Yes, lines 7 through 11. You suggest that KIUC has been assisting HIEC in performing an analysis of potential benefits of an electrical co-op of HELCO and how KIUC may be willing to provide management services to HIEC. See that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You also state in your direct testimony that KIUC has committed its staff time to explore an alternative generation plan to the PSIP for HELCO. That's on page 22, lines 15 to 16.
Yes.
Okay. Has KIUC's assistance been very helpful to HIEC in its evaluation and exploration?
It has.
Okay. Did the information they provide you involve technical or engineering or more managerial type of?
Overall, the folks at KIUC have been supportive and helpful of what we've been doing with the idea that having another co-op here, the possibility of another co-op in the state of Hawaii would be of benefit not only to them, but to the benefit of the residents of the Big Island, ratepayers of the Big Island, members of the Big Island as well.
And they have made their staff available to you to answer questions or that you may have in exploring the acquisition of HELCO.
They have been helpful and supportive in terms of helping us kind of get up to speed in terms of what utilities are all about, yes.
Have you paid KIUC for any of these resources?
Not a dime.
Not a dime, okay. Do you know who's been reimbursing KIUC for its resources?
I'm not in a position to comment on that, Ms. Kawai. So I think I'll leave it at that. No, I don't know.
Okay, but someone would have to pay for those resources that would normally be allocated to serving their customers, correct?
Well, I mean, typically there's not too much of a free lunch in this life, so I imagine it's coming from somewhere, but I can't say where exactly.
And in fact, KIUC has offered to provide management services should HIUC be successful in acquiring HELCO. Is that correct?
They have made offers that, with the benefits of economies of scale, that some of their embedded costs, given a larger rate base, so to speak, or a larger number of participants, that would be a benefit to them, yes.
And those costs would be paid by Hawaii's ratepayers and not necessarily Kauai's ratepayers, correct?
Well, again, this is rather speculative because number one, of course, there's no willing seller. So how it's all going to play out in the real world when all of a sudden then if we were to have the opportunity and we were to get to the finish line and there were to be an operational electric or energy cooperative on the Big Island, I mean, there are many, many questions that would remain to be addressed.
So you would say it's not a done deal per se that KIUCs would offer those management services and you would accept that, correct?
No, not a done deal. No,
Okay.
not until things are signed and inked, so to speak.
Can we just briefly discuss your background? Because I was reading through some newspaper articles and it's very intriguing.
Oh, I'd be happy to.
You are the president of the Hilo-based Provision Solar,
Correct.
Is that correct? Yeah.
Correct.
And Provision Solar, my understanding, is like one of the first brick and mortar companies to offer PV systems to homeowners and businesses in the state.
In fact, if I'm not mistaken, we installed the very first official net energy meter system in August of 2001, about a month or so after the NEM law went into effect, yes.
Yeah, that's very impressive. You also stated that in your direct testimony that you're exploring kind of transitioning from this solar PV business into basically the co-op business in essence to try and bring costs down for the residents of Hawaii Island. Is that correct?
I don't think I'd agree with the assertion that I'm transitioning. Just to briefly explain, there's no one involved with HIEC, including myself, that has received any type of compensation whatsoever. I believe, in fact, I think I'm the first person sitting on the stand here that is not doing so under retainer or not doing so being paid by somebody. That said, my background in co-ops go back actually to the San Francisco Bay Area, and the first solar company I worked for in 1978 in Cupertino, California, was a cooperative. So it's really quite a thrill to be involved in the potential to explore an energy cooperative, an operational energy cooperative on an island where I've been living for the past 16 years and am affected, as everybody is who pays an electric bill and who wants to not only bring electric rates down, stabilize electric rates, but also continue the, I think, exemplary job that HELCO has done in achieving renewable energy penetration that far exceeds any other island in the state of Hawaii.
And I totally agree that HELCO has done an exemplary job. But I guess I get from my understanding from your direct testimony, it's one of your primary concerns is trying to bring some of that cost down for the local residents of the Big Island.
Correct.
Okay. And you don't care if that occurs either under a co-op model or a NextEra ownership model, as long as you achieve your vision?
No, I do care.
Why is that?
I do care very much. If you're giving me the opportunity to discuss what I feel to be the benefits of the cooperative model versus the IOU model, whether it's Hawaiian Electric or whether it's NextEra, that's not what you're asking.
No. I'm just asking your vision as far as how that is accomplished, the lower cost.
Lower cost.
Yes. Why would it care whether or not it happens under NextEra ownership or co-op ownership? If it achieves your primary principal objective.
Well, Ms. Kawai, the primary principal objective is one, but it's certainly not the lone. It is one of several that I don't necessarily put lower costs as the be-all and end-all. I mean, it is very, very important, but to the exclusion of other benefits, of other values that a cooperative model would bring, to me, it's an entire package. It's the whole deal.
So it's the co-op package or no other package?
The co-op package or no other package? No, I'm not looking, we are not looking to essentially make the same pitch which I believe NextEra Energy is making, which is we are offering this package deal. There are no other alternatives out there, and reject us at your peril. That's certainly not the type of argument that we're making by any way, in any way. We are trying to put forth the concept and the value of a cooperative model during this time of possible change of one of the most venerable corporations in the state with a very long history, that if there's any time that's the right time to discuss the ownership model of one of the most important infrastructures, public infrastructures on the Big Island, my home of 16 years, now is the time to do that. So I'm not saying the co-op or nothing by any way.
But you haven't offered any evidence into the record, and you acknowledged earlier that you haven't done any studies to offer this commission to consider those alternatives at this time.
Certainly, our
yes
position.
Yes or no?
Could you restate the question, please?
You have testified earlier that you did not do any studies, you have not offered any evidence, you have not even put an offer before HIEC to acquire HELCO. But yet, at this time, at this juncture, you're asking Commission to consider a hypothetical alternative, even though you don't know what the impacts would be to the rate base?
We have been scrupulous in abiding by the terms of the 300 some odd page merger agreement in terms of not going down in any way, shape, or form, making any offer or engaging any type of discussion with Hawaiian Electric.
But does that prevent you from doing any type of analysis on your own?
Certainly not. No,
okay.
we have done
you haven't
some
presented that evidence to the record for the Commission to consider.
We have not presented that evidence to the Commission for the Commission to consider. That is correct. We have made the offer essentially to do so to the Commission.
But nothing has prevented you thus far to provide that evidence into the record, correct?
Nothing has prevented us from providing that to the record. That is correct.
Thank you, Mr. Mangelsdorf. No further questions.
Mr. Minkin, redirect. Thank you. Mr. Mangelsdorf, do you have available all of that confidential, proprietary, privileged information from the HIEC companies that was provided to NextEra in this docket?
Somehow that didn't get into my mailbox. No, I don't have that information.
So without that confidential, proprietary, and privileged information that has been provided to NextEra, would it be foolish to attempt an analysis of what needs to be done for the HELCO company?
I think I probably would have better things to do with my time than to engage in that type of endeavor without having that appropriate confidential information, so yes.
You were questioned about KIUC's help. Has KIUC introduced the founding members of Hawaiian Island Electric Cooperative to various entities and individuals throughout the United States?
Objective, Your Chair. This goes beyond the scope of my cross.
Overruled. Has KIUC helped HIEC meet various entities and individuals throughout the United States that are familiar with basically from the ground up getting a co-op running?
Yes, they have.
Who have they introduced HIEC to?
We've had the pleasure of meeting the members of the board of the Cooperative Finance Corporation.
Objection, Your Honor. This is already in his direct testimony and his rebuttal. He does not need to retestify onto this matters.
Mr. Minkin, just very briefly, because there's an insinuation that nothing's really been done, it's hypothetical, but meetings have been held, finance information has been provided, and
That, therefore, we're just closing the loop on this. It was opened up.
Overruled, Mr. Kawhi.
You can answer.
Yes, we have met with a number of individuals, including some of the board members and the president of the Cooperative Finance Corporation, who are one of the largest banks, so to speak, as I understand it, in terms of supporting the 800 plus cooperatives across the United States.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you. Mr. Gorak?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Kiba?
No questions.
Commissioner Champley?
No questions.
Mr. Mangelsdorf, you are excused as a witness. We will call the next witness, who will be Mr. Ronald J. Binns. We'll take a 10-minute break while we get the new witness on the stand. 1:55.